I have to bring on the worst person in America. You know that Ed Gein died in a mental hospital and Ted Bundy was executed, so that just leaves Steven Crowder. I'm ashamed to say that I am his only friend and the only friend he could have, and I only keep him around because he makes me laugh uproariously. And now he's gotten thrown off YouTube. Crowder, you insufferable schmuck, what have you done?
Why do you besmirch the good name of Gein and Bundy? I mean, the guy could paint. He was a hell of a painter. So, it's just whatever. No, I appreciate you having me. And hopefully you don't have the worst of me, because this is, for me, it's a little, and they still have me on some pain pills. Not the fun pills like the opiates. They have me on this thing, gabapentin, which just makes me, stupid and sloppy. So, like the B team at Daily Wire.
Yeah, so it's a usual day. All right.
Yes. No, I appreciate you having me, and I am glad to be here. And honestly, for people out there who don't know, screw you, because it was we've gotten in trouble because of the Loudoun County story, and it ties all back in. You can explain it to them, but screw you at Daily Wires.
I watched the routine you did which made me put my head down on my computer and laugh until I wept. Could you just describe what this is a story about?
Is this the Alex Jones sketch?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know what I can say. So for people who don't know, and to get a little serious for a second, are we Friday?
Yes.
It's one of those things where I'm like, I can't believe it's still today. So it was on Thursday. We did a whole segment on the Loudoun County story, which you guys broke there at Daily Wire. And really, by the way, tremendous work. And people know that the show is silly, but I really am just meticulous about referencing and sources. I think this is the only show where we will have 50 to 70 references every show publicly available. And I made sure to check out with Daily Wire. I know because of the age restrictions, I said, look, I need to know if the rape kit was verified. And all I can say is that I felt confident that you guys had done your due diligence. So we did about an hour on that segment on Thursday. And immediately after that show, we get hit with a strike on YouTube. Now, the strike was for a previous show for the previous week, but it was the same subject matter. And in this one, we were talking about how in California prisons, there have been a record number of men who claim to be women and are then sent to female facilities. And now they have pregnancy protocols. And there was a female inmate who was complaining about treatment and got pregnant. And so the joke was working around YouTube and not addressing it and saying, so I suppose Immaculate Conception, cut to a sketch where the angel of the Lord, who was portrayed very well by Alex Jones, said, be not afraid, for I bring you tidings of great joy, for shall be a sign unto you a son. And she said, in a virgin birth. And the joke was in here, I think it's the image, he said, no, you'll be raped by your cellmate repeatedly. And people, so I can't say, but we show the cellmate, you can imagine who it is. Now, here's the thing. You're all kidding aside, you're a mediocre comedy writer. So, but you do write comedy, and no, everyone knows Andrew's one of the best out there. And the whole point was tiptoeing around it and never actually saying what was going on, just covering the facts. And then this was the joke. And now here's the concern. And we didn't even talk about the transgender issue beyond that story. So to be clear, YouTube has not given us specifics, but what they did say was, the hate speech policy in targeting the transgender community. They said inciting violence. And then this is from in the solace I do find that their very expensive hourly attorney from YouTube beyond the strike said, or indicating that transgender people could pose a rape threat to women. So they said that is what's not allowed. Right. Well, no, never. Gosh, I tiptoe around the sketch and you're like, well, what can you say? And then you're just like, break all the rules. Look, you believe in Christ. You don't have the cover of being a Jew anymore, Andrew. They're going to come for you, okay? So immediately, I would argue that it is no coincidence that this show had been up for a while, and the language, of course, applies to how we covered the Loudoun County story.
Right.
So we had to take those down right away, and we're dealing with this legally, and we've been streaming still to Rumble, and people can subscribe, Mug Club, Apple, Spotify, just not on YouTube. But what's so scary about that is, look, we were covering specific instances, okay, that have been documented, that have occurred. But I would also argue, of course, one must be allowed to broadly suggest that a certain group of individuals could pose a rape threat to women. Otherwise, you can't oppose the policy. Think of this for a second. And you guys covered this. Over 100 parents, right, lined up to speak at a municipal meeting in Loudoun County, namely because 2 young girls had been raped. But they were going to voice their opposition against the trans bathroom, the new policy, the new rules, I guess. And I don't know what they would call it. But their opposition was going to be, hey, because we think this poses a rape threat to our young daughters. Boom. If they said that online, the digital town square, banned. That's what's so terrifying about it. This is the first time they've used this language, and they specifically sent it in a private email to me, broadening that language more than ever before, indicating that transgender people could pose a rape threat to women. Now, they may not enforce it consistently, but they can. They can strike you and ding you if you do that. And that is, I mean, look behind you. That's the Orwellian line.
So what do? Do you have any response to this?
Well, look, we're responding legally. My half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond, has been responding. There are certain things I can't discuss because there are ongoing legal issues with YouTube, autonomous from this. So, yeah, we're fighting this, and we're continuing to stream. I mean, look, I was talking about this with, I don't know who, it's a blur. I've been doing a lot of shows, of course. So it's not like I saved my A material for this. But
I just want to make sure this half-Asian lawyer, the other half is Jewish, right? I mean, because otherwise you're screwed.
Otherwise, YouTube's getting everything. No. I mean, I assume he's been beaten enough by his parents that he should be adequate.
Oh, okay.
I hope. I have no idea, but he plays one hell of a violin. I mean, it's no 9-year-old Ben Shapiro playing Schindler's List at, was it Carnegie Deli or Hall?
Yeah, that was the pinnacle of his musical career. So, like, it's
and he looks the exact same. He looks some people age like. Okay, can I just say this before? To me, one of the funniest things we've ever done on this show, on this program, is still we did the House of Cards parody sketch where Kevin Spacey was trying to rape Ben Shapiro because he thought he was 14. And I made sure to clear it with Ben first. I was like, look, it's actually a testament to the elasticity in your skin. You look young. And so, of course, Kevin Spacey would want to bang you. He was like, well, yeah, okay, I understand it. That's pretty funny. I was like, good. So the issue here, there was something else I was talking about before this. The legal issues.
Yeah.
Look, I never want to be the person who talks about, but this has gone out in the press release, so the cat's out of the bag, and people have talked about this. This show is the #1 show in the that 18 to 49 demographic. Just the 1-hour show, that file, not only far and away #1 in that demographic with conservatives, but #1 of any late night, of any network comedy show as well. The next closest is Tucker Carlson, and we do more than 2 times his numbers in the demo, and they watch for like an average of 40 minutes. We do more than Colbert and Fallon combined. And I don't mean with the clips and the bits that are cut on YouTube 5 minutes here. I mean that 1-hour show, well into the 7 figures of people aged 18 to 49. Average viewer is a 28-year-old male. This is YouTube saying, doesn't matter how the market has spoken. We are saying, you chose wrong. This is unacceptable. And keep in mind, those numbers come from, look, we don't show up in search. We don't show up in browse. We've watched since we've been demonetized. We were gaining 130,000 subscribers a month, and they've demonetized us twice. The throttle went from over 100,000 a month in all of my years on YouTube to nothing. Remonetized us, back to over 100,000. Demonetized us, down to nothing. So these numbers come from conservatives and non-conservatives choosing to bookmark and tune into this show. They're not stumbling across it. And YouTube's out of options. YouTube is really out of options to make it so that people don't find us. They changed the way the whole live page on YouTube exists because 4 of the top 5 would just be our streams. They're like, I can't have that. Let's put up Seth Meyers. Oh my God, Seth Meyers, the guy's comedy cancer. So we're fighting this legally, and I'm so grateful to people. When we streamed the show yesterday, we had more live viewers. We had 65,000 live viewers at any given second without YouTube. So I think it's grown to a level that they really feel the need to contain. That's why they did this. I think your story at Daily Wire, you've done actual investigative journalism, and I really do believe this is, just to be clear, this is just me making an inference. They don't want that catching on, and we just happen to be, the biggest show in the space, amplifying the great work that you guys did. So yeah, it's
One of the things that I keep wondering, and I wonder about it here too, is
7 inches.
Is it impossible for us to make? I mean, listen. When you were building your show, you used to call me up and talk for an hour about how to use YouTube to monetize your show. And I used to think, this is the most boring conversation I've ever had in my life. And I hope he knows what he's talking about.
Right, but then I would go, Hava Nagila, and capture your attention again.
And I was grateful. I felt seen. Yes. So my question is it impossible for us to build a platform where you can show your videos without worrying about these tyrannical
No. No, and this is the thing. People say, well, why don't you go build your own YouTube? Why don't you go build your own Twitter? Look, I understand the argument, but it's no longer a free market argument. First off, YouTube, Google, Alphabet, right? They own both of them. They're more powerful than the Roman Empire. They're more powerful than any world government. And by the way, their growth has only occurred at the cost of the taxpayer, through tax incentives, also through a reduction in liability under 230. The issue here is, right, for example, we know this. So Section 230 says you're part of the digital town square. They're treated like utilities, Verizon, AT&T. Look, Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, they can't remove us for discussing something that may be offensive. That's illegal. But YouTube does. And that's very clearly in the territory of publisher. And in this instance, it's very clear where they've screwed the pooch is there is a carve-out even for comedy. And they went after a sketch. But I think they went after a sketch because what they're actually concerned about is, the non-sketches that we cover. So what we do is this. Look, I'll always be on YouTube, and I try and play by their rules. If we don't think it's YouTube friendly, we do it exclusively on Mug Club because I want to reach the unreached. It has been a very valuable tool in growing. But we also are available on Mug Club for people who support us. Look, it's the only way we generate revenue. We have a few sponsors here and there. We don't have, 1,900 per show like Ben Shapiro. I don't know when it's show versus when it's an ad at a certain point. We're very limited with that. So we own, unlike PBS, when they say funded by viewers like you. Oh, you mean from tax dollars? They didn't call you up with the Jerry Lewis telethon to give you money. You stole it from them. We don't have that. So we can broadcast on these other platforms. But of course, the people who are a part of those platforms, the people who are already members on those platforms, already agree with us. YouTube sees this and they're looking to try and make sure that we don't reach other people. The only correction I would make, and this is in all seriousness, when I spoke with you, I never spoke about monetizing. I spoke about growing. I've never really cared about, I have a reputation in this industry a little bit as, a recluse, intense maniac, but also that I don't really care about money. And that's true. My wife and I have one car. I don't have even Christmas or birthday lists. I told YouTube, I said, fine, demonetize us. That's fine. You guys have your community guidelines. You guys have your advertiser-friendly guidelines, which are separate. Then, unfortunately, they created what some in the industry refer to as the Crowder rule, and that's the borderline content, which is non-defined. So, sorry, that's on me, but that's because we didn't violate anything. There were people at Senate hearings who said, what can we do? And I said, well, he didn't violate anything. And of course, this sketch, which is silly and offensive, absolutely,
and hilarious.
PG-13 rated is not a violation. What is the violation is the truth.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, listen, I have to go, but come back. You're welcome on my show anytime.
No, you don't. You don't have to go. What are you talking about?
You're going
to boot me right now?
Yes. I'm out of time. And if I run out of time, I just have to go because I can't stand talking to you this long.
Well, that's fair. I understand it. It's like, look, it's like if you ask mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most gorgeous of them all, and it just placed a toupee on you, you'd see this. So I get the envy.
But also, I was only told at the last minute, 2 minutes before my show began, that they said to me, you got to bring this guy on because he's pitiful. He's standing outside, he's crying. It's embarrassing. Give me a little time and I will have you on any day because I always like seeing you because I'm a low, disgusting human being.
And you're bullshit. You know it. You won't have me on ever. You're a liar. You're a compulsive liar. And I will tell you this. Look, for as envious as you are of my hair, I am actually envious as I get older. And I woke up from my surgery. My chest hair was completely white, by the way. Completely white.
Wow.
But as I get gray and as it starts receding. Yeah. No, but yeah. Oh, come on. There's a delay here. Get your head out of you're better than that. Get your head out of the gutter there. So I bet you it fits because you could just, put on some Crisco and I can't wedge into those places. You probably, you can probably get your head into the apartment of the clown from It. Like, oh, look, you got a junior suite.
That's Shapiro's secret to youth, by the way, is that hat. It covers up the bald spot. That's the whole thing right there.
Oh, I have a story about that involves him and my wife and me in a bathrobe and nothing else. And I'll tell you off air. But I will say this. I am genuinely envious of the fact that you pull off the shaved head look. I have a head that looks like a bean that was left on a stove too long. And so I know once it's gone, so is whatever charm I have. You can do it well, and if you put on a bomber jacket, you look like a skinhead, and that would make for fun family gatherings.
I know. If you like this great content, and why wouldn't you? It's great content. Subscribe, like us, ring the bell, dance around the room, and we will send you more great content like this.